Okay, thanks, Ian. Nice of you to spend the time to talk to us today. Let's talk first of all about the album. You're going to be doing a tour of North America in support of the new album, which is called Sounds That Can't Be Made. Can you tell us a little bit about that album? Because we haven't heard any of that yet.
I know. Well, we've been working on it on and off for the last few years, really. But we've been touring quite a lot and various excursions all around the world. But we're all pretty excited about it. It's still being worked on now. I think Steve Mosley is doing some guitar this evening in his own studio, some final overdubs, solos and whatnot. Steve Hogarth's been comping all his lead vocals this week as well, and every time I speak to them, they're really vibed up about it, and kind of quite exciting. It's probably my most favourite time of recording an album at the moment because all the drums are finished, and so every time I go to the studio, I hear the track kind of growing bit by bit as people are putting their input into it. So sounding really good.
Are your drums normally the first thing to lay down, or do you keep adding bits as you go along?
Well, no, usually the process that Marillion goes through to writing, I suppose it's quite organic. It's very slow because it's the five of us just in a room jamming, really, and we record every single thing. So a lot of the time, once we compile hours and hours worth of jams, listen through to pick out the bits that we all like, try and kind of marry up the lyrics to the music, and then a lot of the time I'll actually keep the original drums that we jammed.
Uh-huh.
If I'm really lucky, that can happen. But otherwise, we'll actually work on an arrangement and then go in and record it all. It's always done as a band. So it's very rare that I'll go in after the event and do overdub drum parts. I might do bits and pieces of percussion.
The way that you've written together or recorded together, has that changed over the years, or has it always been that way?
It's really always been that way. I can't ever remember really any band member coming into the studio and saying, "Hey guys, I've got a song here, completed. You play this, you do this. It should go like this." I can't ever remember that happening. It's nearly always the five of us in a room jamming, and as I said, it's a very organic process. I mean, it can be painfully slow and painfully frustrating sometimes as well, because we can spend weeks in the studio waiting for a moment of magic to happen, and it might not come. But then another day you might suddenly go in and get a couple of real bits of magic happening all in a day.
Right. Mm. So how would you describe the sound of this album? Is it similar to the previous, or does it vary in any way? Or?
I think it's someone said the other day some of the tracks sound quite grown up, which I wasn't quite sure what that meant. I don't know what that means. Is that a compliment, or does it mean we're all just really old gits? I don't know. But I kind of understand it. The tracks they're pretty diverse, really, but they're still very Marillion. I don't know. We seem to have stamped our identity on it. So the tracks are all over the place. But from what I've heard, I've heard 3 or 4 tracks that are really very near completion, and I'm quite excited about them. I'm looking forward to playing some live. So, and hopefully on this tour we're going to try attempt to 1 or 2 of the new tracks.
The sound that you have now is very different from when you first joined the band, when Fish was in the lineup. Do you think that change in style would have evolved over time, or do you think new personnel adds a different dimension to the sound?
I think it's probably a bit of both, really. I think, over the course of time, as we said, we've all got older. We're probably not quite as, we're not really angry young men anymore. But saying that, there's moments on this album that are slightly aggressive. So, but yeah, you're right. I think when Steve Hogarth joined the band, I mean, it kind of became a different band. I think we probably still sound the same in a way because of the influence. Steve Rothery's guitar sound. As soon as he plays, really, he puts his stamp on everything. And we always used to write all the music, the four of us together as a band. So that identity's still there, I think. But yeah, it's kind of evolved. I don't know whether it's probably got a bit, maybe the music's got a little bit more simpler, a little bit more straightforward, not quite as aggressive. But saying that, I think sometimes, I mean, I love playing, stuff very fast and in weird time signatures and guns blazing, but in a way, sometimes that's easier to play than playing something that's in half-time 4/4 because there's lots of space. Sometimes it's harder to do a good job from the drummer's point of view.
But as far as the North American tour goes, it's been quite a while since you did a tour like that over here. Why the long delay?
The logistics of getting to America, and getting employing full-time crew, getting all the equipment to the States, and and touring. We've been touring Europe quite a lot on and off over the last few years. It's not for want of trying. We love coming to America. We love playing to our American fans, and the gigs are usually great. So it's probably down to finances in the end. We can't afford to come to America and lose a lot of money. Which, I mean, on that last tour, I think what happened, what might have been the tour before, we said we just can't afford to come to America, and some fans said, well, look, we'll start a tour fund and raise some money. How much do you need? And we said, well, we probably need about $60,000, to do a tour, and they raised it in a few months, and I mean, we just couldn't believe it. So of course we came to America.
Yeah, I was just going to say that business model that you use for recording the albums. You consider using that for touring, but as you just said, you did that time, yeah. Yeah,
I mean, it's an amazing thing that the fans can, as you said, we get the fans to pre-order our album sometimes before we've recorded or written a note, and that we're using the fans as a record company, and for them to be that trusting that we're not going to just go out and buy fast cars and have a party. I think it's an amazing thing, and plus it gives us the freedom. I mean, we've always kind of done whatever we wanted as far as music, but it gives us the freedom, and more importantly, it means that we own our own music.
Yeah, it must be gratifying to know that you've got that level of support and respect and admiration from your fans who are there for you.
It is amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
With regard to your playing two shows in Los Angeles at the House of Blues on Sunset Boulevard on June the 27th and the 28th, will there be a difference between the two shows?
Yeah, we've kind of rehearsed up about two completely different, well, nearly completely different sets. So hopefully each show will be very different. We're not sure 100% yet whether we're going to play some of the songs for both nights. But at the moment we have two completely separate sets for where we're doing two nights in any city. So it'll have to be kind of fine-tuned. I mean, we've got the first gig in Washington, which is a one-night show, and then we've got two nights in New York, and that's when we'll decide which sets are working best, maybe we'll mix them up again. But yeah, wherever we are for 2 nights, hopefully it'll be 2 completely different sets. Of course, whoever comes to the first night, and they're gonna moan that we don't play the same stuff the next night, aren't they? Or
Well, you can't please all the people all the time, you know.
No, we try our best, but I mean, we've got such a vast back catalogue as well.
Yeah, exactly.
To choose from. So, and whenever we decide on a set, we usually get emails from fans saying, "Could you please play this number for us? It's not birthday or something." And it's kind of, oh no, it's the one number we weren't going to play.
Right. I'd like to take you, back in time now to when you were a teenager. What was it that first got you into music? And, when what were you listening to at the time? And started as a drummer, did you ever, dream that you would end up making that as your career?
Well, I was kind of fortunate because, I speak to people, young people now, and I say, "What do you want to do for a living?" And they say, "Oh, I don't know yet." But I never really had that problem. So from just after I was an embryo, I think I wanted to be a drummer. What happened? I started getting into drums when I was about 6 years old. And my father was a violinist, classical violinist. So, and he also used to do lots of West End shows in London. So in my early teens, I used to go and sit in the orchestra pit at some of these shows. And I just remember sitting next to the percussionist at one show. It was Funny Girl. And Barbra Streisand it was her London debut. And I just remember sitting there, and this drummer it just fascinated me. And really, from that age, it was this is really all I want to do. So I just, I was in a jazz orchestra at school, from the age of about 12, 13. Had lessons. Then I went, played with all sorts of bands. Then I went to School of Music for a couple of years, from the age of about 17, 18. And then I left there because I just wanted to be in a rock band. And so really, it's just been drums for my whole life, really. I've never really done anything else. And as far as the stuff I was listening to, I was, as I said, at school, I was the age of 13, 14. I was very fortunate to have a music teacher at school that used to bring over, he was totally into jazz, big band jazz, and he used to bring over Duke Ellington, Count Basie arrangements for the school orchestra to play, which was unheard of at that time at these schools. Most school kids were playing recorders, and it wasn't really inspiring. So this guy was a bit of a visionary, really, and he was constantly in battle with all the school authorities trying to get kids good instruments to play on, rather than and Salvation Army cast stuff. So I was very fortunate. So yeah, I was brought up on the kind of big band. Then I got into rock bands. I really used to like Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple, all those kind of bands. Floyd, Genesis, Brand X, Billy Cobham, great drummer. Marillion Orchestra, and so I was fortunate. I met a lot of these people as well, and every time I met them, I used to ask them a question, show me something, show me what I'm doing wrong.